This is my motorcycle. You see it? Yeah. My motorcycle.
Behold the ultimate power.
But you still don't understand, do you? The future we offer is the only option for these humans.
I've heard enough. You're boring me to death, Black Doom. You're going down.
That rubber light plant growing there looks nice. I bet it's a black creature. The black aliens are crawling all over. Take them out of this life.
There seems to be some run. Ah! There he is!
Stop!
Die! Die! Die!
Gun has this area well defined. These ruins are a fine.
While grinding, pressing the X button will make shadow.
More than I expected. I'm impressed. But you still don't understand, do you? The future we offer is the only option for these humans.
I've heard enough. You're boring me to death, Black Doom. You're going down.
Here, today, prepare to die. Say goodbye, Shadow, as you witness my true wrath.
Oh, hell, super shot.